Hey guys, hope you're all well. Just wanted to get a video out about NRL team lists for this round. We've got a few interesting names back this week and a lot of question marks over like your Hors brothers, Preston, stuff like that. Still waiting on news for Mamazelis. So yeah, super interesting one. We'll also try and get a video out later, hopefully tonight, otherwise it would have to be Thursday. I'm just on my buy planning. So do a little bit of a teaser here. So yeah, got heaps of stuff to go over for you. Yeah, so hopefully that one's out in about an hour or so, but we'll see how I go. Yeah, so a few interesting names. I won't go through these too extensively if there's not too many fantasy relevant ones, like the Eels, Dolphins, not a ton of names. Iongi's probably still a hold coming into the bye rounds. Riley Smith was a popular pickup last week. Maybe a little bit too heavily priced this week, especially with Brendan Hands back and Joey Lussick due anytime soon as well. I doubt Hands will play this week, and I'm pretty secure in Riley Smith playing a 60-minute role anyway, but just one to monitor. I think is a little bit too expensive if you're going to grab him. I think last week was the week to do it. Kartonga, 2 disappointing scores in a row. 35 is not shocking, but he's probably still got a couple of weeks in him. Just leave him for the bye rounds, I think. Not too much on the Dolphins side. Herbie stays consistent as ever, but yeah, nothing too crazy over there. A few names for the Dolphins are back, but it doesn't affect anyone unless you're running a Tommy Gilbert or something like that, which I doubt anyone is this late in the year. Knights Titans, a lot of fantasy interest in this one. Jaden Campbell somehow back already. That was like 3 weeks or something. So yeah, I know a lot of people sold him, including myself. A little bit disappointing that he's back already from a fantasy perspective if you did sell him, but I wouldn't be rushing to get him in anyway. They've got the buy in around 12. I think he's more of a nab around that round 13, round 14 mark. He's pretty expensive. I think he'll be in the top 5 players come end of season. You got your Mays, Hors, Clearys, and then I think he's a tier below that. He should average 60 plus. That's why I started with him. But yeah, just wait to see how that ankle injury comes looking back. He didn't have surgery in the end, which it was feared he might and would have been out for 6 to 8 weeks. But see how he reacts. He's got a soft round this round, but yeah, with that round 12 bye, just wait and see him and look to pick him up before the round 15 bye. Then a ton of interest on the Knight side. Obviously, Ponga finally produced a good score last week after like 5 back-to-back 20s. But if you held him, I think you'll be in some. He'll have some good form this week and probably next week as well, and maybe even round 12 against a depleted Panthers side if he doesn't play Origin. So yeah, easy hold now if you have held him this long and kept him last week. Fletcher Sharp, hat-trick last week, and Dylan Lucas, they were both super popular pickups this week. I'll be looking to pick up one, if not both of them this week, because I think their first buy isn't until round 19 or something anymore. So yeah, really strong interest in them. Marzu, yeah, 8 at halftime, 55 last week, so really good there. And yeah, apart from that, there's not a ton of interest. Maybe KPP a little bit. But the sides haven't changed too much, apart from Jaden Campbell coming in. Jaden Bradley's still on that bench, so yeah, no interest there. JJ Fafita's back and Fermore's still edge, which is good. That was always going to be the case. But yeah, Jamie Humphrey's back. He was meant to be back around 10. And yeah, it's round 10 now, so no surprises there, but it'll be interesting to see how he goes. He's still probably a little bit underpriced compared to what he has shown in the first couple of weeks, but he'll lose goal kicking to Latrell. Obviously, his first game back from a hammy, I believe. And Latrell takes a ton of in-game kicks as well, so Humphreys won't get 800-plus metres every week. So easy wait and see. They don't play round 12 either. He's got a high break even after coming off after 5 minutes, so hopefully he loses a bit more money. Latrell back in Origin, and I think Humphreys could be a pickup for sure before round 15. But yeah, wait and see there. Really, really super interested in Tallis Duncan. He's still only 1.5% owned. I haven't really seen a ton of people talking about him. Obviously, he'll have interest this week, and I'm sure he'll potentially make it to the Who's Hot list. But, yeah, playing second row, he's only played 80-minute games, which is awesome. Really strong data there. That was last season and this season. Obviously, played 80 last week, 56 with a try save, but 57 of that was in base. He just had a couple of missed tackles. So, really strong data. His tackle count's solid in most of those games. Obviously, a couple of lower ones, but he has strong meters gained as well. Yeah, he has a few missed tackles in his bag, but he makes up for that in tackle breaks. So his base is really strong. He's priced at 30. If he plays 80, he's going to pump out 45 plus easily. He's easily got 10 points of value. Even even just in 40-plus minute games, he's pretty strong. Obviously, a lot of them were in second row, but lock and stuff. But yeah, really happy to see him named at 12 again. And I really like this setup as well. So obviously, Ewan Aitken came back. He was playing in the centres last week, playing on the edge this week. And still, Tallis Duncan kept his spot. They moved Koloamatangi to 10, which I think means they really prefer Tallis Duncan in that 12 spot, because you could have easily gone Koloamatangi 12, Hubner there, like 13 still, and Tallis Duncan on the bench. Could have easily happened. Jairo played on the edge last week as well. He's back. Oh, he might play 13 actually, but still, yeah. Like they moved around this whole forward pack, and Tallis Duncan's still in 12. So I think his minutes are secure. There's no real injuries at all. I think everyone's pretty much back now. Yeah, Cameron Murray's out for the year, obviously. So there's no forwards that are injured. I don't think anyone plays Origin. Like I don't think Koloamatangi will play Origin or anything. But this is pretty much their starting forward pack, and we've seen Tallis Duncan named at 12, which is really strong. There's like a reserve, like Jai Gray on the bench. He'll cover halves, maybe a little bit of hooker. Like they'll shuffle stuff around. Maybe Jamie Humphries move to hooker. Like he's there to cover the backs, not the forwards. So it's only a 3-forward bench, and I'm pretty sure Tallis Duncan's playing 80 again, if not 65 plus. And yet I can easily see him averaging 45 to 50 if he plays 80 minutes, and he's certainly going to come to my team. He's like a 90% chance at the moment. So yeah, really, really happy to see him at 12 still, and he obviously has that buying around 12, but covers heaps in round 15, which is awesome, and has that duel, but the mid's the most important part. Ezra Mann could have come back this week. His suspension finished, but they've said he's playing Queensland Cup, which is fair enough. Stick where you belong, brother. No, he's all right as a player, but yeah, obviously he's got a bit of controversy around him. Otherwise, that team's looking pretty similar. Jordan Ricky has got the start over Pierre Cora, but that could change again. In the last minute updates, you never know. Willison only played 40 or so last week, so he had a bit of interest about him, but I wouldn't be picking him up anytime soon. That's about it for that game. Oh, Latrell's back obviously as well, but that was always coming. He had a 1-week suspension. Bulldogs Raiders, not a ton of changes here, I don't think. Obviously, Jacob Preston's the one we're looking for if you own him. The judiciary is tonight, I think, so I'll be keeping an eye on that. You can check it on NRL, the website, I think, or obviously you just jump on Twitter, type in Jacob Preston. I'm sure heaps of people will be talking about it. I think he should get off. Like, it was his third charge of a crush tackle, which is why he's facing 3 to 4 weeks, I think. But there was nothing in it. I couldn't believe he got sinned in for it. I didn't even think it was a penalty. Like, they said he left his feet. It was maybe that much for half a second. Not even half a second, like a glimmer. So yeah, I couldn't believe it was a sin bin, and I can't believe it's a 3-week suspension. I'm pretty confident in saying he'll get off that. If he doesn't, just sell him. So it's actually a really good result if you do own him, because 4 weeks out, maybe Origin, he's an easy sell, and if he gets off, he's an easy hold. So best case scenario is them going to the judiciary. Next best is him winning. So fingers crossed for that one. We'll find out probably 8, 9 o'clock tonight. Jacob Carrez pumped out his biggest score for 100 and something last week, 102 I think it ended up on. So really strong. He's probably secured his Origin spot now, unfortunately, if you have him. But yeah, just ride that wave and fingers crossed he doesn't make it for your teams. Tamale, keep him for the round 12 bye and then maybe see what you can do. Horsburgh named. He had a Cat 1. They're looking to fight it, I think. I think they got like an independent doctor in or something. Being named, it's a really strong sign, but just be careful of that. He's potentially going to be sold for me as well, because I'm looking at 3 trades this week. But if he's named, he'll stay. I think he plays Origin, but you may as well wait and see in round 11, round 12 for that. And that's about it. Not too many other changes there. Nah. Matty Nicholson still playing 80, which is really solid. So yeah, if you have him, well done to you. And yeah, Matty Burton returns. Waz versus Dragons. Not too much has changed here. Waz pulling out the same team, I think. Aaron Clark, 70 minutes last week. I can see that continuing again, which is solid. 3 forward bench again. James Fisher-Harris not back. There was rumours he could have been back this week, so happy to see him not back. Not even on the extended bench, which is good for us owners. And if you got him, he's probably too expensive now, but if you got him last week, you're pretty happy with that. A bit of interest on the Dragon side, actually. Emery Gould is out for a month or so now. So Hamish Stewart starts. He's got a little bit of interest. He's priced at 31, so super close to Tallis Duncan. I just think Tallis Duncan has way more upside. They got really similar buys, like that buy in around 12, and that's 16. I think Rabbitohs is 12 and 19, and then one well later in the year, but you wouldn't keep him for that long anyway. So yeah, early thoughts, I much prefer Tallis Duncan over Hamish Stewart, but I think Hamish Stewart still has a role to play, and he could easily make money on that 31. The path to averaging 40 plus is there. He obviously played 48 minutes last week. Got a try for 66, but he was looking at it high 40s, low 50s without that anyway. And yeah, a point a minute otherwise, hasn't scored a try in any other games. So if he plays 48 minutes, he could easily average 45, low 40s, which is at least 10 points of value. Just really depends what your buy schedule looks like. If you really need a mid-round 12, not much interest, and I'd still rather Tallis Duncan. But if you need one for 15 or 18, then yeah, I think he certainly adds value. Just be careful, you might not be able to hold him until round 18, but definitely covers for that round 15 buy. But yeah, still prefer Tallis Duncan over him so far. I'll have a trade targets video obviously later, but yeah, initial thoughts, Tallis Duncan over him, but certainly some interest. Loco comes onto the bench. He's got good wraps as well. I could easily see a path to 30 to 40 minutes with this makeup. And I'd say if he's as good as they say he is, he'll probably keep that spot over Emery Gula, or I don't know, but they'll shuffle some things around, and I'm sure he'll stay if he's good enough. You could get him. I probably prefer him. That's a risky call. I was going to say I prefer him to King Tongia this week, but yeah, that might be a bit ambitious. I don't have a ton of interest in King Tongia. I've talked about this a little bit. I'll talk about him later in the trade targets video. I think he's got a ton of low scores in him. He doesn't kick. He's an attacking half, so he'll be so up and down. He'll get his 40s, 50s, and he'll also get his 15 to 20s. Not a massive tackling half. Yeah, attacking enough where he will get some good attacking stats, but I would never be playing him in your side. And he's made 35 or 30k or something this week, so he'll have a low break even. Had a really good score, but just consider why you're bringing him in. If it's just to make money, I don't think it's worth it. If he covers your halves in round 15 and 18 or whatever he plays, then yeah, some interest, but not for me, not for my team. Kyle Flanagan's actually really interesting. I talked about him last week as a high risk, high reward, and he took all those kick meters, so interested in him, but that's about it for that game. Not too much else to report. Cows versus Panthers. Yeah, pretty standard teams here by the looks. Brian Tottle's back, so Tommy Jenkins on the bench. Don't know if that will stick. They might shuffle some things around, like Isaiah Papali'i to the bench, Garner to edge, and then Jenkins somewhere around there. Not sure. He got a 70 last week. He's probably a wait and see if you kept him, but if you sold him last week, this is probably music to your ears, him not starting. So, yeah, either way, I'd keep him for his low break even and see how it pans out. Obviously, Tottle's probably going to play Origin, so yeah, just wait and see with that one, but it's interesting that he's on the bench. I didn't see that coming. I thought he'd done enough to secure his spot, especially after 2 tries last week. But it was always a concern when you did bring him in. And he's done his job for you, apart from a few low 20s. And yeah, Isaiah Papali'i still on the edge, which is really solid. Liam Martin will play Origin, obviously, so that role looks secure for a while. Not a ton of fantasy interest until we see a bit more out of him again, but that's about it. Cowboys, not much fantasy interest, and things look the same as always. I think Cotter was out for 2 weeks as well, but that's about it. Storm vs Tigers, not a lot by the looks. Terrell May, solid as always with his 68. A little bit cautious that he won't play 80. I think he'll play 80 as long as the games are close. I think Tigers are like $5.75 this week, so I might captain him, I might not. I think Benji will keep him out there as long as it's within a 16, 20-point game. But if it's wraps after 60 minutes, I can't see Terrell May playing 80. They might have to preserve him at some point. He can't play 80 every week. We saw Hors back in the day playing 80 every week, and that didn't stick. So, but just ride the wave while you can. But I might look elsewhere this week. But my captaincy has been shocking this year. 8 out of 9, the worst you can possibly get. So don't listen to me at all. But that's just my initial thoughts. Jerome Hughes named. He got injured last week. Obviously played on, but he just seems to pick up a nagging injury every week, which is a bit concerning, but I still have interest in him, but definitely not this week after seeing him get re-injured again. And yeah, nothing else to really report there by the looks. Yeah, same sides both times. Sharks versus Manly, not a ton. Jazz Tavanga named at 13, so that was one I talked about that I'm really interested in. He was one I recommended to bring in for Rob Toyer if you needed to. Sorry, not for Rob Toyer. For one of like the 8 guys I listed to get Rob Toyer's score. And yeah, if you did, it probably panned out pretty well, named at 13. A little bit concerned about his minutes and stuff, but Jakey Turbo was coming back and that was the concern, and to see him named at 13 is still really solid. I think he might play a bit of bench hooker. You'd think one of these guys comes on at 13, maybe like a Nathan Brown or something, and when Simpkin gets his rest, Jazz probably moves to hooker. He's better at lock, but his PPM is so solid. So he's certainly one I'm interested in. I'd probably grab him, to be honest, if I wasn't looking at Tallis Duncan. He's got that mid hooker cover, plays 12, 15 and 18. So he's really solid. I'll do minutes over 40. And just he's got a ton of data and averages nearly a point a minute, which is super solid. This year, not so great, but he's played hooker. Last year, a point a minute in 47 minutes, a point a minute pretty much. Yeah, 0.9s or above every season. So really interested in him. I think his floor is probably 40 minutes, named in the starting side. So yeah, he could easily average 40 and his price at 27. So a ton of interest in him, but I can't get him and Tallis Duncan in, obviously. So I think I prefer Tallis Duncan as a less risky one, but paid off if you did get him last week. And if he fits your needs, I think he's just a really solid option. It's really hard to get mids for round 12, 15 and 18. So yeah, I think he's got some merit for sure. A few people talking about Jake Simpkin. I'd be a bit concerned. I'll talk about him later, but he's not going to play 80 more than likely, and his data isn't that strong. And Fanua Blake, really happy to see him score a 37 last week because I want him in round 12. So his break even 70, same as Max King. So they've got a bit more money to make. If you need a if you need a mid for round 12 or 15, then yeah, you're looking at guys like that. I'd probably wait and see, just if they can lose 40, 50k more. There's no rush because you'll probably be trading out of May or something like that. Oh, not May, Yo or Horsborough. So yeah, plenty of time to get them. Wouldn't rush. Wait for them to lose a bit more money, but just know they can pull out a 70 whenever they want. That's about it for that one. Nothing too crazy. And that's the last game. So yeah, a ton of fantasy interest. We'll see how Horsborough and Preston go in the judiciary and independent doctor. A ton of fantasy interest, and they'll have massive trade implications for me this week. I'll hopefully get that buy planning video out this Savo tonight. It's pretty late already. Otherwise, yeah, it'll be out Thursday. So we'll see you then. Bye.